It was 6:47 a.m. on a crisp April morning in 2024 when the quiet streets of Willow Grove, a tidy little suburb nestled in the rolling hills of Oregon, were shattered by the sound of metal grinding and a woman's voice screeching like she'd been caged in a fortress. That woman was Linda Harper, and her meltdown was over a sleek new lock on the neighborhood's entrance gate, a lock that, for the first time in years, actually did its job. She stood there, clutching a canvas tote bag, her phone flailing in the air like she was begging for a signal from Mars. Meanwhile, I was on my deck, sipping black coffee, watching the drama unfold on the live feed from the gate's hidden camera. Linda was pounding the keypad like it was a personal insult, her face twisted in fury. What she didn't know and what made this whole scene deliciously ironic was that Ethan Caldwell, was the locksmith who'd installed that very lock. I was also the guy she'd chewed out just days earlier for fixing her patio door too perfectly. Call it karma or just bad luck, but the universe had a way of serving justice with a side of stainless steel. This all kicked off a month earlier when the Willow Grove Homeowners Association finally decided to fix the rusted old gate after a spree of mailbox raids. Packages were vanishing faster than you could blink, and Linda had been leading the charge, pointing fingers at everyone from delivery drivers to shadowy out-of-state gangs. As the only licensed locksmith in a 30-mile radius and a resident of this over-policed patch of suburbia, I stepped up. I pitched a plan, a modern, Bluetooth-enabled lock with key fobs, cameras, and remote access. It was cost-effective, and I even tossed in free fobs for every household. The vote was unanimous, and Linda's signature was right there on the dotted line, though I'd bet my toolbox she didn't read a word of it. She just loved the optics of signing something official. Installation day came, and I swapped out the clunky old latch for a state-of-the-art system. The neighborhood was over the moon. Kids zipped around on scooters without strangers strolling through. Retirees like Mrs. Clara felt safer on their evening walks. Packages stopped disappearing. But Linda? She was fuming not over the tech or the price, but because the lock put an end to her habit of wedging the gate open with a brick so she could dart to the nearby coffee shop or let her friends slip in without buzzing. That brick was now a pile of dust, crushed during the install and tossed into a dumpster with a flourish. Linda took it like a personal attack. That April morning, her rage hit a fever pitch. After 15 minutes of flailing at the gate, she marched up my driveway like a storm cloud in leggings, her baseball cap bouncing with every step. She didn't knock or say hello, just launched into me. "You think you can cage us all in like some kind of neighborhood warden?" She spat, arms crossed, head tilted so high I thought she'd tip over. "This is harassment. You're violating my right to come and go." I took a slow sip of coffee, set the mug down, and handed her a copy of the HOA approval form, her own signature glaring up at her. She froze, her eyes darting over the paper, then snapped. "That's not the point. I never got my fob. You locked me out on purpose." "Actually," I said, pulling up the app on my phone, "you signed for it. Delivered to your mailbox last week." I showed her the receipt, timestamp and all. Her jaw dropped, then clamped shut like a fish gasping on a dock. Without another word, she spun around and stormed off, muttering about lawsuits and gate vengeance. What she didn't know was that her outburst was already viral in the neighborhood group chat, caught by my gate cam and 2 doorbell cameras. By noon, someone had slapped dramatic music on it, and another neighbor turned it into a mock trailer called Lockout on Laurel Street. I should have felt guilty, but Linda had dug her own grave. The next day, things got weirder. Someone guess who stuffed cotton balls into the lock mechanism. Then came late-night calls from a block number asking for the gate master. One morning, I found a garden gnome tied to my mailbox with a note. "End lock oppression." It was absurd but oddly creative. Then an anonymous email landed in my inbox, claiming to start a petition to boot me from the neighborhood for gate tyranny. It was riddled with typos and, surprise, listed Linda as the lead signer, complete with her scanned signature. When I asked her about it, she denied everything, then claimed her dog had been borrowing her laptop. I offered to trace the email's IP address. She went quiet. Linda's antics escalated. She started hosting liberty marches at the gate while VYing signs that read "Free the Gate" and "Lock Souls Matter." She roped in two friends, both in matching VY swords, blowing plastic whistles like they were storming a barricade. When her megaphone battery died mid-rant, her voice slurred in slow motion, and I nearly choked on my coffee. The neighborhood was safer than Everlog showed the gate working perfectly, but Linda was unraveling. The HOA president, Tom Reynolds, pulled me aside one evening and whispered she's planning a takeover. Linda wasn't just mad. She was building a crusade. One night, at 3:02 a.m., my phone pinged with a gate alert. Someone had tried to hack the keypad with a cheap decoder. The system fried there to VYC and locked down for 5 minutes, notifying me silently. From my window, I saw a figure in a hoodie limp away, pink sneakers peeking out. Linda had gone full rogue. She didn't mention it the next day, but her twitchy glare at the gate gave her away. Then came a note on my door: "Overlocking destroys unity." I stuck it on my fridge for laughs. The group chat lit up with grainy footage of her trying to jam the gate hinges with superglue. Her VY sore unmistakable. Comments exploded with popcorn emojis and calls for a Linda costume contest. Her next move was bolder. One evening, my front door lock felt stiff. I popped the cover and found candle wax stuffed inside. My porch cam caught Linda trying to pick the lock with a hairpin and a butter knife. She realized she was on camera, tripped over her tote bag, and bolted. The VY Deo hit the chat, edited with a VY Olin crescendo as she faceplanted. The neighborhood dubbed her the Keyhole Bandit. At the next HOA meeting, Linda showed up with pamphlets titled "The Gate Scandal: Unlocked Secrets." Her shirt read, "I deserve entry." She ranted for 12 minutes about lock oppression and accused me of hoarding fobs to sell on the dark web. When I showed proof she'd received her fob, she claimed I'd hacked her mailbox. Then came a line that broke the room. I didn't lose my fob. I rejected it with my soul. Laughter erupted. Mrs. Eleanor nearly spat out her tea. Even Tom chuckled. Linda demanded a vote to rip out the gate. Only her friend Susan backed her, and Susan mostly fought with raccoons. The motion died, and Linda stormed into a closet before finding the exit. The next day, she plastered the community board with posters comparing the gate to a prison and a QR code linking to her blog, The Lock Conspiracy. It was a wild read: claims of fob surveillance, tech company plots, and whistleblower sparrows. I considered talking her down, but then I got an email from a concerned neighbor offering to buy gate admin access. The IP traced to Linda's router. This wasn't just drama. It was a security threat. I sent everything logs, VY Deos, email stow the HOA board with a formal complaint. Tom called me that night, sounding drained. She emailed the city council about fob fascism, he said. We shared a grim laugh. I upgraded the gate with facial recognition tied to Linda's fob. Any tampering would lock her out instantly. For a few days, it was quiet too quiet. Then, at 6:12 a.m., an alert hit. Someone had tried to pry open the utility box housing the gate's relays. I found scratches on the lock and a knockoff fob cloner in the bushes. Footprints led toward Linda's house. Tom and I decided to go public. At the monthly community breakfast, I took the mic and explained the gate's tech-encrypted fobs, fail-safes, usage logs. I showed a slide of a 6:12 a.m. breach attempt, GPS pinned 15 feet from Linda's address. The room went silent. Neighbors exchanged glances. Tom raised his mug in approval. Linda stood, red-faced, shouting about digital defamation and lockist bias. Before she could bolt, Susan tripped over a chair, spilling muffins everywhere. That night, the HOA website went down, replaced by Linda's manifesto. Open gates, open hearts. It called me a tech tyrant, with a photoshopped image of me on a throne of fobs. I restored the site by dawn, documenting her sloppy code. At an emergency board meeting, Tom laid out the EVY Denke: tampering, hacking, defamation. Linda was stripped of her HOA roles, fined, and warned that further stunts would ban her from committees for 5 years. She screamed about digital persecution and waved a petition with fake names like Locksmith and Captain Key. The room roared with laughter. That night, my gate cam caught her with a screwdriver at a decoy panel I'd built. She tugged at dummy wires, tripped over her own bag, and fled. I posted a redacted clip to the HOA portal. Midnight Mechanics, a saga. Tom called, barely containing his giggles, suggesting a new rule. Linda shall not touch any gate components, physical or metaphysical. But this wasn't just about laughs anymore. Linda's obsession had turned the gate into a symbol of her need for control. She wasn't fighting for access, she wanted to be the gatekeeper. That made her dangerous. I called a buddy in cybersecurity. Her attempts to breach the gate's logs were skirting state laws on infrastructure tampering. I waited for her next move. It came at 5:08 a.m. An alert screamed, full system lockdown. Someone had tried to drill into the wiring hub, tripping the anti-tamper shock. The panel was scorched, a drill abandoned in the mud. By 6 a.m., neighbors were grumbling in pajamas, and Linda was on a picnic table, preaching that the gate had betrayed the people. I ignored her, reset the system in 4 minutes, and handed her a log showing her failed bypass at 5:08 a.m. My phone played footage of her silhouette, neon socks glowing. The crowd went quiet. Linda stammered that she was SAVYing her niece, who lived 50 miles away. No one bought it. Even Susan looked done. That afternoon, I submitted everything to Tom. VY Deo's logs, serial numbers. The board voted to downgrade Linda's fob to VY Cider, statushed, need a neighbor to buzz her in. She was banned from touching the gate and reported to the county HOA council. Linda tore up the HOA charter and knocked over a coffee urn on her way out. That night, neighbors left a tiny lock on my deck with a thank you note. Mr. Lee dropped off spring rolls. Kids painted Locksmith Hero on the sidewalk. At a community barbecue, we ate cake shaped like a padlock and hung a sign, security through craft. Linda tried to crash it, but was flagged by the gate's facial recognition. A robotic voice told her to call a resident. She stood there, steaming, then slunk home. Days later, she called in a fake wellness check, claiming I was wiring bombs in my garage. Cops showed up, saw my licenses, and left with a smirk. The call's phrasing matched Linda's emails. Tom filed a report with the city for wasting resources. Then came a letter from a law firm demanding DULA $12,000 for lock-induced trauma. It was pure nonsense, typed on fake letterhead. I sent back her signed HOA approval, the board sign-off, and a photo of her prying wires. Silence followed. Linda had burned every ally, her EVY Denke, a noose of her own making. A week later, her house hit the market, listing the gate as a premium feature. I laughed. One morning, I saw her packing a box. Our eyes met. No words, just a nod that her war was over. The gate opened, let her out, and closed with a soft click. The neighborhood bounced back. We repainted the gate, added guest access VY and app, and strung up fairy lights. Every click of the lock was a reminder of order restored. Linda thought she was fighting a cage, but the gate was protecting her from her own chaos. I went back to my routine, fixing locks, tweaking systems, and sipping coffee on my deck as Willow Grove hummed along, safe and sound. So what do you think? Was Linda a misguided rebel or a menace who got what she deserved? Should the neighborhood have tried harder to talk her down, or was public shaming the only way? And where do you draw the line between community rules and personal freedom? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories where everyday life turns into a wild ride.